Before we get started, if you love what we're doing on the Church Sound Podcast, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Review us on Apple Podcasts or whatever platform you listen on. Check out our YouTube channel. And if you want more information, go to our website, www.churchsoundpodcast.com. See you in the Matrix. Welcome to the Church Sound Podcast, where kingdom culture, real life, and technology intersect. I'm your host, Prentiss Thompson, along with the pastor, Caleb Windley. We're here to help you get through Sunday. Did you hear the pastor? What about your live streams, social media? We provide solid solutions for all of your multimedia needs. Let's learn something today. Let's go.
All right, yes. Welcome to another edition of the Church Sound Podcast. I'm your humble host, Mr. Prentiss Thompson, along with the pastor.
I'm the pastor, Caleb Windley. How you guys doing today?
My man is on point. Doc, you at 500 today.
Let's get
it. 500 today. Hey, listen, today's show is a special show. First, before we start, gotta shout out our sponsor, Metro Podcast Studio, the hottest podcast studio in New York City. If you need anything done, live sound, live streaming, podcasting,
video,
editing,
they do it all.
Production, they do it all. Hit them up at metropodcaststudio.com. They'll take care of all of your needs. The funny thing about this show, this is episode number 27. 28?
28, brother.
28.
28.
It's all good. All good in the neighborhood.
Almost 30, bro.
Almost 30, man. We've been drinking for a while. You know what I mean? We've been drinking for a while. We're almost 30, you know. 21 was the age. Now we do 28. You know what I'm saying? You're almost there, brother. We're almost there.
Yeah.
Everybody got kids. Everything's fine. So, I was trying to come up with a title for this show.
Okay.
And it just popped in my spirit. It's the heart of a worship leader.
Okay. I like that.
In music.
I like
the music portion. The heart of a worship leader in music. So I think we got the perfect guest.
Yeah, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this gentleman is the executive director of music at Agape Family Worship Center.
Oh.
He's a musician's musician.
Yeah.
I threw his name out to a couple of dudes that I know that can really play.
Okay.
And they were like, "What?" He's first name basis. You even gotta say his last name. You ain't gotta say his last name. I Googled, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I typed his name in. It's people studying him.
Wow.
I don't think he even knew this. It's cats. You knew that? I didn't know. I was like, what? So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs of all ages, let's welcome to the program, Mr. Loren Dawson.
How's everybody doing, man? Thanks for having me, man. I'm blessed to be a part of this show.
Dude, I looked up your name. I was like, wait a minute, because I mean, your band, should I call it the East Coast? Should I call yourselves?
I didn't put.
Who did that?
A guy named Sebastian Weed.
Oh, that's my man, Sebastian.
That's my guy.
Weedworks.
Yes, he used to come to the church. I used to have him at the church a lot. And he just loved the band so much, he just videoed us one day. I mean, he got a lot of footage actually of us, and he just put it up one random day. Like, I was like, I didn't know he was gonna do it, but he did it, and we got over 300,000 views, man.
Wow, bro.
Speaking of footage.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, he gonna do you, bro.
Oh, my God.
Speaking of footage.
Wow.
Oh.
Uh-oh. You got the MD lip.
Speaking of footage, can we do this?
My Lord Jesus. Look how fat I was.
Loren's face is like,
oh my God.
He said, look at how fat I was.
Yeah, man. You know, I had a weight loss journey, man. I lost like 30 pounds, 40 pounds.
Wow, man.
That's incredible, man. I don't know how you got that.
Well,
that's good. That's good.
I'm working my way through the journalism school, man.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing all right.
You're doing really good.
I think I did all right on that one. So we do this thing on our program called Sunday School, and we've talked off script. And the pastor on the mic today is Mr. Loren Dawson.
Yeah.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs of all ages, let's get ready for Sunday School.
Okay, class, it's time. Time for Sunday school. Now you gonna go. Get me your hand. Come on, stop.
He's gonna give us 3 topics, 3 points, like the old school. I got 3 points before they close. And so just tell us your 3 points, sir, and let's get into it. Hey, I wrote them down. I can say them.
You go ahead.
Okay. So these are the points he gave me.
Yeah.
The points he gave me was, what's that smell? That's point number 1. Well, point number 2, we fall down.
Okay.
Point number 3, on Broadway. On Broadway. So me and the pastor got to pick. Now, all these 3 titles are just, hey, listen. Which one you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm stuck.
Stuck?
For real, I'm stuck. But I'm thinking I'm leaning towards what's that smell? But we may have to drop a 2 up in that piece. We may have to get a 2-piece.
Get a 2-piece dinner on this one? Snack back side of fries? That we doing? That's what we doing?
I have to, bro.
All right, so I say we go with what's that smell for 5.
Yeah.
For 550.
All right.
What's that smell for 550? Our brother has the floor.
Well, according to the book of What's That Smell, chapter 1, verse. Actually, one day, my pastor, we usually do like 2 services each Sunday on a Sunday morning, and so my pastor wanted to meet with us early before service started, and so we decided to meet him upstairs. So now in the morning, if you don't tighten up, you can flame everybody out. You can fry everybody with what's going on up in here, because you ain't do your due diligence. Well, I'm not gonna leave the person nameless, but they must have had a rotten tooth or something, because they came in and stunk up the whole pastor's whole office. Now, pastor's office is pretty big, so we all in the room like, what is that smell? So my pastor ain't get in there yet. He in his bathroom. So we all standing in his office. So finally, he come out. So at first he was good. He was chilling. He was light. Everything. He was like, yeah, good morning. What is that? What is that smell? Right?
Oh my God.
He said, you actually came out the house like that?
Right? Oh my God.
He went back in his bathroom and got a bag of mints the size like this big, like a huge bag of mints, and handed it to everybody. Cause he like, everybody take a mint. You should not come in here smelling with your breath stinking like that.
Oh my God.
So we knew who it was, but we had to endure, and he was so upset because that is so hilarious. Like, well, my man had the rotten tooth, man. He he didn't put no Listerine or something. I don't know. But he missed his mark, man. He missed his mark, and he messed up everybody, man. He messed up everybody.
Oh my God.
He messed up everybody, man.
Oh, that's hilarious, bro.
It was terrible.
That's hilarious. Oh man. And Loren Dawson has closed. He has closed the book chapter. So that's, dude, I seen that happen in, like, you know, sound check, and the wrong person, you know, have the phone cover on the mic.
Oh man.
And they passed it to him, and this girl grabbed it. She was like, and took the thing off.
Smelled like somebody wiped their behind with it.
Exactly.
For real.
Exactly.
Yo, P, you know, I got one a little worse. So, you know, you preach a message, my brother, we all know. So you preach for about 45 minutes, you getting it in, you spitting, you there's a whole lot happening at that particular moment. So I got this brother in our ministry. So he comes down off the pulpit and he says, I want to do an altar call. And has everybody come up to the front. So everybody's coming up to the front. And so I'm actually standing there as the usher, like I'm catcher. I'm playing catcher today. I was like, okay, I ain't nobody here. I'm gonna do catcher. But every time people get in front of him, they just start blinking. And I'm like, what is happening?
Oh, man.
What's wrong with the people? So I'm thinking maybe he's spitting. And then, you know, everybody go and they do their thing, and everybody walk away and their eyes are nice and bright. But all of a sudden I said, well, I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna get prayer because I know I need the Lord to touch me right now. And I get up there. Now, this is after about 20 other people done went. So if he was hot,
he really hot now.
Volcanic right now, you know what I mean?
It's volcanic.
I get up there, I'm like, oh my God. He smelled like socks, old stock, potato chip,
oh
my God,
and rotten eggs. What? I was like, I had to stop him. I said, bro, I'm good. The Lord has touched me.
The Lord has spoken.
The Lord has touched me.
I feel
have
his
been
presence
delivered.
literally all around me.
Exactly.
It's
You ain't even gotta
encompassing the
finish.
room.
You just anointed, brother.
God, that's hilarious.
Oh,
Yo, man. You gotta know when to rope the fold them, right?
You gotta know when to hold them. You gotta know when to fold them. You know when you
Yeah.
miss the ring. How about that?
No doubt. No doubt.
So, Loren, like, how did it start for you?
Yeah.
Oh man, you know, it started at a small church. I started playing really at a really early age. I started like really playing songs when I was like 3. And like my dad was a saxophone player, and my mother it first of all, it was like hot and cold water because my dad is Muslim and my mother is a Christian. You know, she was.
Wow.
So I would hear Christian, then I would hear jazz in the house because, you know, it was just their styles were so different.
Sure.
And so my dad was a saxophone player, so, you know, pretty much listening to him play jazz all day long. Stevie Wonder. I mean, I could just remember songs in the Key of Life. I mean, that was like my anthem. You know, I grew up listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire. Like, that was what I heard, you know. So it was pretty much my foundation, pretty much that and the Hawkins, you know. And so that's really how I developed my sound and how I started playing and listening to music. It really started in church, you know, going to my mom's church. And, you know, back then, the organists were looking to be paid. And, you know, in a small church, you know, sometimes they can't accommodate the good organist because, you know, the organist can go somewhere else and make a certain amount and it meets their need.
Right.
And so, he was my god brother, and he was playing for the church, but he left. And so, you know, I kind of had to step in, you know, and I just started playing, you know, every Sunday. You know, once I was like 7, I pretty much was like the church organist, you know.
At
and was
7?
Yeah. Yeah. And I pretty much was playing for the church. And then once my pastor came, you know, when my bishop died, we had to get a new pastor. And once he came, well, we had 2 pastors. One came, but then he left because he was pastoring 2 churches. But when the other pastor came, he was a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually really taught me about music. He taught me how to learn music. And that's when I was really starting to develop my style. He taught me how to back up a preacher. He taught me how to do everything, you know what I mean? And really like listen to the chords and the placement, you know, and when the preacher preached and then, you know, and stuff like that. And then he was like, you can learn it. And then he gave me a keyboard. So, you know, just teaching me scales and stuff like that. And so I just applied it. And he could really play, you know, he was really good. So, you know, I just sat and gleaned from him. And then it's pretty much how I started, man. And then, you know, being with my brothers and all of us, you know, we come from a musical household. You know, we just did what we did, man. And then, you know, it just developed into, you know, God blessed me to become, you know, who I am today.
That's
Amazing.
dope.
Amazing.
So,
Amazing.
can I ask you a question, bro? The person that pastor that stepped into your life, what other things did you learn from him other than just how to become a musician? How to, you know, what were some of the other things that he was able to download into you that has made you who you are today?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, one of the things is, and I have to credit a lot of this to my mom, you know, because my mom really instilled the word in me as a child. So I really never had word struggles. Like I always understood the Bible because that's what I grew up with.
Right.
But one thing I did lack was a relationship with a man. My dad tried, but my dad, you know,
Yeah.
You know, he just, you know, back in those days, you know, he just living his life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He want to smoke weed. He want to do whatever. You know, he not really focused on realizing, like, I got sons I need to raise. I need to raise children. You know, he really wasn't focused on that. So this pastor, he became like a father to me. And he taught me how, he showed me what love was. You know, he wouldn't just, you know, if I got mad or something, he wouldn't just leave me alone. He would address me. He would show me how to be a man. He would say, you know, this, I love you, like, you know what I'm saying? And it was all legitimate. It wasn't no funny business and nothing like that. Sure. It was just, he was sincere. And it really showed me that I meant something to him. You know, it showed me that I had value. And then, you know, he would just, when he preached, man, it was like, it just changed my life. It really made me want to, you know, follow God. And it really made me want to get more into my word. And it really made me want to understand music and ministry on another level. And the funny thing was, that was really the only church I ever played for, because after that, when I was 16, I went on the road. I really wasn't playing in church. Okay. So it was all about relationship, learning, just being a part of the church, being a real member and not just a musician, but understanding, you know, what the value of the church was and taught me, you know, just how to be sensitive to just everything. He taught me how to love my mom and respect my mom. He taught me, you know, just how to be a young man. And I related to him because he played and I played. So he would invest his time and his energy into me as a man, as far as my music ability. Even when I played basketball, you know, because I played basketball too. You know, my son is actually in college playing basketball now. And he's in his third year, full scholarship and everything, you know. But
God bless you.
What? But no, I played basketball, and he even invested his time with that. He would come to the games. He would take me to practice. He would, and like genuine. It was genuine. Like he would help me. His brother played too, professional. So his brother was like, "Yo, you got to do this. You got to do this. You know, you got to work on this." So they really put that man figure in my life at the time when I was a young boy.
Right.
That's amazing.
That's dope.
You know, the crazy, this whole description is really part of this question. I don't know if I told you this, Caleb, but I sent a bunch of music. I hit up a couple of musicians that said I was going to have Loren on the show.
Okay.
And they sent me like a gang of questions.
Okay.
I only could pick 3. So I'm going to read, I'm not going to say who it's from, but I'm going to read it just like they sent it to me. All right. Historically in church, the black church, the young musician never gets pushed or encouraged to fulfill their musical aspirations to the fullest, where the result might take them out of the church. Note, out of the church, not the faith. It's always just to keep from playing. Hold on, what are you saying? Just keep playing for the Lord.
Oh, yeah.
Were there any obstacles in this forward movement, or were you fortunate enough to have that support?
You know what? I had both. I had people who would tell me I was gonna go to hell, and then I had people. Wow. Fortunately, it was my mom that was like, "Listen, I put the word in you. Take God with you, grow, and be a better musician, because this is what you love to do." And so once my mom gave me her blessing, nothing could stop me, you know, like as far as people. And I thank God that I had her, you know, because she was the one who was like, "Look, you know, this is your dream. You need to follow it." And, you know, and so no matter what people said, because I had one lady told me I was going to hell if I didn't stop playing the devil's music. And I was like, you know, it's so funny you said that I would go to hell, but you look like you on your way to hell. You know, I mean, that's what I felt in my mind. You know, I wouldn't say it, but you know, a lot of people, religious, the quote unquote religious Christian, it has no relationship, and so they scare everybody with rules. They don't want to give people information of the word. If the word is in you, it'll never leave you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, people fall all the time, but people fall because they recognize the hypocrisy, and there's no one being real with them. There's no one saying, "I fell too." There's no one saying, "Oh, I did this." Well, when I got on the road, as much as I wanted to be wild, I couldn't do it. I wasn't wilding out like that, because I ain't gonna say I was an angel, but I'm just saying
you had a boundary. You just knew, like, you got.
I had people. I had my big brother. You know, I had my big brother Gerald Haywood, who really,
oh man,
was the person who was like, "Yo, you wrong, man. Don't do that. You're not here for that." So I had accountability. I had people to tell me, like, "Yo, you know what? You can't live your life like that. Like you gotta do what you know what's best, and you gotta do what's right." And I think that God just had his hand on me. Like it wasn't no way of getting around it. And so that's why I tell people, you know, they want to lock people down in church and say you only should play for church, because they don't really understand that it's so much bigger than just playing for church, but it's a career, it's a lifestyle.
Right.
You know, you paying your bills. It's so much more than just what they think it is.
Right, exactly. You know, the crazy thing is, I know you don't remember this, but I was working in Sam Ash in 2000, and I think I want to say you were on the road with Erica. I think it was Erica or Mary, one of the two. I think.
Mary was Mary.
Okay, so Mary came in town. Mary J. Blige, those who are listening, and you walked past me and somebody recognized you. I didn't know who you were at the time. And they said, yo, you know who that is? I was like, who? They said, no, that's Loren Dawson. I said, yo, he's bad, da-da-da-da. I'm like, okay. And then there was a keyboard behind me. Mm-hmm. And then I heard these crazy chords, and I turned around like, what the heck? What the heck? I mean, it was like you were just playing around. So the question someone asked me was, how did you come up with your chordal imagination? Because you take it to the limits, but you never take it out so it's left. It's always a controlled, like, it makes your face go like this. You give people the monkey face. So where did that come from?
Well, the common ground is always to keep the melody, right? So as a child, I was always taught, I want to be able to recognize the song. That's what my grandmother and my mom and them say. We want to recognize the song. We don't know what that is, So that always stuck with me. As I expounded my level of thinking as far as music is concerned, once I got into chords and learning, what the structures were and how I could reharm and, do all of those things to apply to, a song or come up with different variations of what I proceed to interpret, as a musician. It just expounded by listening to when I really got introduced to Bill Evans, and when I got introduced to a guy named Claire Fisher, and really I really even got to take it back a little further, and the person that really got me into that was a guy named Benjamin Love from Milwaukee, who passed away. One of my mentors, he could play anything.
That's what's up.
He could play anything. I mean, we was on tour, and I got a chance to be his roommate, and he would carry around a keyboard like no bigger than this everywhere. Like he would carry something like this around. See, I got keyboards everywhere, right? But he would carry a little keyboard, 2 speakers. I don't care if we was in London, Japan, everywhere. He always carried this on his back.
Wow.
And when he would get in the room, he would just sit there and play chords, changes, reharms, and stuff like that. So he had like perfect pitch. He had all of those qualities. So he'd be like, all right, now you do it. So he'd be like, yo, play this hymn. And then he'd be like in the bathroom listening. And he'd be like, don't hit that G, hit that A flat. Like he telling me how to change. And so he expanded my brain. He has so much information. He's a virtuoso. Like he was just, you should look him up. His name is Benjamin Love. Wow. Everything you hear about Benjamin Love is barely what he could do really in person. Like he was a genius. He was like, wow. So everything that inspired me to want to become that was really listening to him and really dedicating myself to being a player that could actually, really get in depth with my chord and my keys. Being with him, he's like, yo, you gotta play in every key the same way. You gotta be able to do the same thing every key. You gotta be able to, and then he just opened my mind. Then he would be like, what are you hearing? He would play Singers Unlimited, and he would play all this stuff. And he introduced me to a lady called Maria Schneider. I mean, it was incredible. My experience with him I'm still feasting off of everything that he taught me when I was a kid.
Wow. So what's the first tour you went on?
My first tour that I went on was Harlem Gospels Singers Tour. I was 16. I was playing the piano for a lady named Queen Esther, and we ended up touring all over the world for like 5 months.
Wow.
I spent 3 of those months in Germany alone. And I was 16. I had to get permission from my mom. I had to get I had to get all this stuff. It was crazy. And I went on tour and I played for her and me and a guy named Spoon from Virginia Beach, who's blind.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I played with him, and he was so phenomenal. I couldn't freaking believe it. And at the time, I'd never seen a blind dude rip like that in my life. Like he could go everywhere, jazz. So I used to just watch him in awe, like, you know, and just and we went on tour, man. We traveled the world, and then I got introduced to Oscar Peterson, Art Tatum, and then it just really inspired me to want to stretch myself a lot.
Dude, Oscar Peterson is Art Tatum. Those two together is like the vocabulary.
It's crazy.
You know, from there, all my jazz heads out there, that is like, you definitely, if you would have listened to some ridiculous, just straight piano, Oscar Peterson, man, just
change your life.
Change your life. For real, change your life.
Absolutely, man.
So I guess my question is, being that you are a music minister, you are a worship leader in your ministry, in your church, what are some of the telltale signs? And I'm going to take this in 2 places. What are some, especially because your first foundation, which I think is key, is that your foundation is the word. And so when your foundation is the word, everything else that gets built upon it is solid. So what is some of the telltale signs that you can pick up? Like, I can walk in a room and know certain things are not right in that room just because of who we are as musicians and techies. So what's some of the telltale signs when you can tell that worship leader, where they are and where they aren't?
Well, one of the clear indications to me is that it's always them trying to prove something.
Yeah.
One of the most horrific things that you can do is try to prove something when when you really need God to prove something.
Right.
You need God to show himself mighty, and we're getting in the way because we're trying to control what he's trying to do. And a lot of it is, I want to impress people, and it's just not authentic. You know what I'm saying? I can recognize the person that is really doesn't have a relationship, because anybody that has a relationship doesn't care who's in the room.
Exactly.
They're doing it because they love him.
Right.
And because they love him, there's no, it's only one audience, and it's right. Him. And so you can always tell sincerity, because a worship leader should always have content. Content of the word and content of the relationship that you have with God through revelation, through prayer. It's a content that you have that connects you to the Father, and then you can speak to him and he hears you, and then he responds. You know, we have to create an environment conducive for God to dwell.
That's right. That's right.
So in order for God to dwell in any environment, it has to be set for him to come in, because he just can't come anywhere.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because of who he is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, at that moment, you can always tell. I call them, I don't want to say such a harsh word, but I call them frauds, because they're concerned about who sees them.
Exactly.
And not who sees the God.
That's good.
Wow.
That's excellent.
Wow. Yeah, I remember one time I was living in Virginia. I came in town. I think Ant still was living in town, and this is when Corey was playing with you guys.
Corey who?
Washington.
Oh, Corey, yeah.
And he called me. He says, yo, come through. We was gonna get something to eat after. He said, come through the church. We in here practicing. It was a Thursday or something like that. And I walked in.
Thursday.
Yeah, so I walked in and we just kind of sat in the back, and I was like this because what y'all practiced was like something. Y'all were just coming up with all these different syncopated rhythms, and y'all were just reading each other. And so, how do you build chemistry between musicians? Because I found that just listening to you, like you were guiding everyone, but everyone was understanding you without you saying what you wanted them to do.
The first thing that I always tell musicians is that you have to know who you're playing with. You have to spend time outside of sitting down at your instrument, but you have to learn the personality. You have to know what people need to be inspired. And I think that a lot of times, you don't spend time with the people that you serve with. You don't have a relationship. You don't have a chemistry. So one of the things that I did with this band that I have at the church is, even before these guys, there were other guys, and I sat down and I, pulled out my Bible, and I talked about, cohesion, and I talked about, understanding the principle of coming together and what that does, and us having a relationship and us having a camaraderie outside of the building. One thing that my guys will tell you is that I love them and that I'll go and fight for them for anything, right? That's something that you build with them, right? They have to know that, because if they don't feel that trust, then, it's not gonna work, And I learned that from Bernard Bell. I mean, Bernard Bell, we toured together, and he really helped me to understand, in order for us to really be good, we have to have a relationship. Mm-hmm. And in order for us, we have to go through things. We have to have ups, we have to have downs, but we have to be able to do it together. And I'm not going to leave you hanging, mm-hmm. So I don't expect you to leave me hanging. And even as things got a little, when I was at a community and it got a little friction, we had such respect for each other on our instruments that whatever we felt outside of the instruments, it really didn't matter. Because we understood what was needed in that moment. Mm-hmm. They respected my musicianship so much that they would humble themselves to let me express my creative edge, and they respected it. And so we were able to grow. And that's the only way you can grow in any band setting. I always encourage musicians to have a relationship with one another. If you're downing your brother behind his back, you'll never get out of him what he could be to you, because you're always tearing him down. The minute that you find opportunity to bring everybody together and then show them that you care, whether it's taking them to dinner, whether it's, really looking out, making sure they got money, making sure it ain't just about the check, but making sure they straight, going to their homes, making sure, they got what they need. It's a job that that doesn't happen often because everybody's out for themselves. But when you learn that the chemistry is really what makes the unit, it makes the unit, and then everybody respects each other, and then it's you don't have a fight because it's relationship. It's like, man, I'm here with my brother. My brother got my back. I'm not worried about nothing. Right. And it corresponds into what you're playing. And of course, you want to be individually sound as a musician, but you also want to be able to lean on others, because it shouldn't be about you. A band is a circle, and a band never ends. So it's always rotating. It's not about us. It can't be connected. If it's not connected, it's not a band.
Gotcha.
Right.
So,
right.
How do you But what you just shared, how does that work when there are churches that hire people to come in on a weekly basis, but they're not really part of the band? They're just musicians that just kind of float in. How do you kind of, if you had the opportunity right now to share with a pastor, what would you tell them in reference to that?
Well, a pastor's responsibility is always to make sure he understands what he has in his house.
Right.
Because in order for him to operate under under the power of God, he has to have discernment of the house. When you bring in people, you don't bring in people because you're hiring them. You're bringing in people because you believe that they can create change, right? You want to bring them in because they make a difference.
That's good.
But they also have to understand your heart. And if you don't spend that time with them, you're just hiring them. It's like, well, I hired you, I'll see you later, and you don't build that relationship. What happens is it causes them to become hirelings.
Right.
And hirelings, per se, just want to get the job done and get their check.
Right.
They're not really trying to give the church, or they're not trying to help build the church. You know what I'm saying? They're just there for what they can get.
Yeah.
And so it takes away from, I always encourage pastors to take the time to, before you hire somebody, get to know them. Ask other people about them. Don't just hire them because you're in desperate need.
Yeah.
Because we have instruments with our voice. You can sing God's praises. You don't need musicians to do that. What you need is people who understand what the house needs and being sensitive to the house, and then implementing that to the guys around them. Because all you need is one person who understands and can relate to everybody else. Because everybody's not going to understand. Like my guys, everybody didn't understand right away.
Okay.
But I had to reinforce by saying, first of all, I don't play that. Secondly, like, we're not going to tolerate this, that, and this. And then on top of that, I also spend time loving them and letting them know that I value their presence.
Right.
And at that moment, when you value people, they look at the situations that they've been in and say, I've never experienced a person that genuinely cares about me and that's willing to go in their pocket or willing to go in whatever they need to do to help this person be more successful.
Right.
So at the end of that, I think that it's a leader's job to pick leaders that are going to help build. You should not just hire people. Now, if you do hire them, you still should screen them. You still should have an expectation. You still should have a standard. You know what I'm saying? You still should require certain things. And don't be afraid to say your expectations. Don't be afraid to have those standards in place, because if they're not living up to that, then you're on to the next. You got to find the person that respects what the house is about.
That's good. That's good.
Wow. That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. So what is the biggest difference that you think being a young musician today and being a young musician like when you began?
Well, these guys have way more information than we had when we were younger. They have everything at their fingertips. They have YouTube. We didn't have YouTube. We had cassette tapes. And we had to figure it out from a cassette tape that if you rewind it too much, it'll pop. And then you had to go get another cassette tape to try to play it again to figure it out. I have so many. I still have a bag full of cassette tapes. But the point that I'm trying to make is it's an information age now. And because it's an information age now, they're way more advanced. It's like you're giving them the tools and everything they need to become as great as they can become. And so you see them and you say, wow, but you don't understand that they have way more than what we had. So if we had what they had, imagine what they would sound like now. You know what I'm saying? So it was just it was just that, you know, we weren't taught to get education at first. We were taught to just come in and you hear it, play for the Lord, and that's it. They didn't want it educated, because once you got educated, you had more of an understanding of everything. And now you realize, like, yo, this is this, I paid to go to school, so now I'm looking for a job to take care of me. You know what I'm saying? And so that wasn't the case. You know, we did it for the Lord, and so we scraped our knees and broke skin in church. You know, we did everything. We got yelled at, kicked off, you know, embarrassed, everything. You know, all of the woes in life to prepare you for that great coming when you really walk into your own. And I just think that a lot of it is, you know, predicated upon, you know, musicians really seeing, you know, the value of taking that information age that they have now and just applying it and being more applicable. And for us older ones to stay in the information age too. Don't let it get beyond you, and then you be trying to play catch up. It doesn't work like that. In order to be effective, you have to have something to say. And when you lose that, you lose your voice, you lose your audience. You lose the people who want to hear you, because it's like, well, I can get this and more over here for less. You know, it's like, you know, it's like, no, you got to have substance so that when they're looking for something, they can get it.
Right.
You know, that's the difference between my generation and the new generation. The new generation just has so much more that they can feast on and get and absorb and take in and become great, because they have all this accessibility to things that we couldn't even find back in the day. You know, you can just type in Bill Evans and everything comes up.
Yeah.
Right. 20 years ago,
along with charts and illustrations.
Exactly. You couldn't do that 20 years ago. You couldn't. A video wouldn't pop up of you couldn't. You know, I didn't get a video until Oscar Peterson until I was like 20. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't even know where I could find. And the first video I ever got, I bought overseas.
Wow.
I was overseas when I bought my first video of him, and I'm like, they make videos, like, you know, you know, it's crazy. And that's the key thing, you know. Once I saw it, I wanted to become it, and I lived it, and I did what I could. But I didn't have YouTube, and we didn't have those things, so we just had to do what we had to do with what we had. And now they have so much more. So I think they're blessed because of guys like us that we paved the way for them to have all this information. And we were searching so hard to find an easier way to get the information. You know, you could type in somebody play over somewhere over the rainbow, and you can get the exact chords. You know, you could never do that. You have to
rewind and playing that thing.
You got to rewind,
bring it back. Wait.
So much more work. So, you know, it's just, I think that they're given this information, and we ought to embrace that as well. But they just have more than what we've had, and so I expect them to be as great as they are, because they just have so much more.
So, with you being, you know, the executive director, how has your work week changed before COVID and after COVID?
Nothing has changed. If anything, I'm doing more work than, you know, because now, you know, I'm on more Zoom calls. I'm like right now, we're in the process of our Christmas special, and so, like, you know, I've had what I did was, since we had so much time, I spaced it out so that the artists, we flew a couple artists in. I flew the first artist in last month. So we recorded them last month. And then The next artist is here, and then we have our next recording on Sunday, and then we're just all going to put it together as one big thing, and then we're going to show it online. And so we're able to work a little bit smarter, you know, but we're really like, the work week from week to week is consistent. It doesn't stop because we're still playing, we're still having rehearsal, we're still having, you know, the band has to come out and rehearse, and the team comes out and rehearse. I don't play that, man. You gotta rehearse. Wear masks and let's rehearse. We gotta know this music, and we gotta do it. We can't be sounding a mess. And I just feel like, you know, rehearsal is the preparation for, you know, the delivery. And so if you're not rehearsed and if you're not prepared, then how can you deliver something that you haven't prepared? Right. So, you know, so I always feel like that. And so we've always had the regimen. And so, you know, I'm at the church Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Wow. That's how much I'm at the church. This week, I'm at the church Monday. No, this week that just passed, I'm here. I was at the church yesterday. I didn't go today, but I had a staff meeting. After staff meeting, then I have rehearsal tomorrow. I have another taping on Friday. I have another rehearsal on Saturday. Then I have the taping on Sunday.
Wow.
So we busy, bro. You know what I'm saying? We work. Wow. It's consistent, man. It hasn't slowed down at all. It's made us come together more because we do 10 songs a week.
10?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Church, we do 10 songs a week.
Is that 5 per service?
5 per service.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
So how has, well, I'm liking the fact my brother we shifted it to COVID. How has COVID affected your home life?
I think it's gotten better actually, because I'm able to spend more time with my wife, and we're developing different things. Even though I've been married 21 years, you still this thing. Women change every day. It's like I don't
every 20 minutes, bro.
Every I'm just like, who am I gonna get today? Like, you know. But you know, one of the things that it has done is helped our communication.
Okay.
We're with each other more, and we have to work through things. I could just pick up and leave and be like, yo, I'm out going to the office. You know, I'm going to the studio. Like,
right.
Now I gotta stay there. You know what I'm saying? I gotta deal with it, and it's good because you know, you never want to do a great work in one place and don't do a great work in your home. You know, you never want to. Your first ministry is always your home, not your church. And you gotta take care of your family, and you gotta, you know, I got kids in college. I have to be accessible to my son. You know, I got another 10-year-old. You know, and we all the same wife. You know, no separate babies, no nothing. We all one. You know, so you know, I mean, in that regard, you know, it brought us together. It forced us to just be more together, and I think it's helping. You know, and you realize what's important opposed to what's not important.
Right.
The way COVID is taking over and hurting people and the whole society is, you realize all you really have is what God gave you. That's your
Yeah.
Amazing. So in the scope of worship, and when you're playing, like what shapes your mindset when you approach your instrument in worship?
Well, for me, it's a couple things, because I like to be prepared. Even if you shift, I think you should do a level of preparation. Even if the Lord moves in a different way, I always believe that there should be some form of preparation, because You want to be equipped. You want to have that muscle memory of whatever you're doing. You want to have it so that it's there. The flexibility is there. It's when you're operating from a place and you haven't sat down and you haven't worked. It's like reading the word. It's like getting new revelation every time you read. You know, you see something, you like, oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Same thing with preparing for worship. You know, one of my biggest things is that you know, I like structure. I like order. I think like if everybody's on the same page when the Lord moves, he would not allow us to move in a way where it's not consistent. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like a lot of people want to blame it on, well, I don't know what the Lord is leading me. You don't know because you ain't been praying and you ain't been talking to God. Don't use that as an excuse not to be prepared. Because people who understand, it's just like you go into an office and you go into a session and you got your music and you know, listen, I gotta have all my audio files, so I give to the engineer, I need to know the BPMs, I need to know. What's the same thing? You know, you gotta have everything in order. What we gonna play, how we gonna do it, and I believe that causes the relationship so that even if there is sudden shifts, we have a relationship because we've connected. And I think that in my preparing for worship, I always, you know, have to always have a structure. Like I always need to just map things out. I send out the music way ahead so that everybody can go and learn their stuff until the day it comes. And then when we come in, if I feel something, I'll say, let's shift and do this or whatever. But I like to prepare. I like for everybody to be prepared because it really just unifies everything. So that's my main thing. It's just, you know, like making sure that we have done our due diligence with the music and representing the writer the right way. And, you know, I'm funny like that, you know, but I feel like it opens up another door. You know, I just feel like that. Right. And I just feel like you can't go wrong with the structure. You know,
you can't.
It really helps and it really develops everybody. Right.
So what do you guys do for since COVID? Are you pre-recording? Are you going live? Like how you guys doing church?
I hope my pastor don't see this, but we pre-record for a number of reasons. One of the reasons was a lot of people were still showing up for service, and my pastor doesn't want to turn people away. Okay. So, you know, he's like, look, I said, Pastor, maybe we need to switch it and just do it a day before so that if people come, the church is locked. We don't got to turn nobody away. They just got to go home. So that's what we started doing. And that way we didn't have to offend nobody. And that way, you know, that's crazy. You know, we just did what we needed to do, and it helped us too. And at first it was very strange in an empty church with nobody there, and we were worshiping. But then we started to realize who are we worshiping, and we started to realize it all belongs to Him anyway, and we don't need an audience to do what we should be doing every day. Right.
Yeah. So, amazing. Well, I got one question from another musician. I'm gonna read it just how he wrote it to me. That's how he wrote it to me. Let me see. Where's that? I asked him. This is the question. I said, what would you want me to ask him? What would you want me to ask him? He said, one that comes to mind. He's been in the storefront Baptist situation, the large church situation, as well as the secular touring situation. Is there any, if any, a difference in each? Did you learn something in one that prepared you for the others?
Absolutely. Be prepared. No. Yeah, you know what? My storefront church experience is I really grew up, and this is just a testament to the way God really set my life up, because I really grew up around super talented people, and I just had them to glean from. You know, like I learned everything about what I know from all of these people. I have so many impartations. I have so many people who have invested in me as a big brother, or somebody who just said, you know, this is what you should be doing, this is how you should carry yourself, this is what you, I mean, all spectrums. And I think that, you know, it really has prepared me. I believe that my storefront experience helped me to be strong on my own. Playing in the church, and they don't have the money to get a whole band and everything. You gotta learn how to really facilitate that whole situation with just you.
Yeah, so it's a lot of coverage.
It taught me how to be able to play the bass, the keys, the organ, run. Like I did it all, because I was like, yo, I want to have my MP, so I brought my MP to church. And this is way back in the early 90s, like 90, 89, 90, you know.
Oh, dude, you was bringing the MPC 60 to church?
Yep, I was bringing it to church, and I had my MPC 3000. When it came out, I brought my MPC to church. I brought my whole rack, and I had a keyboard, and I would play that keyboard, or I would get on the organ and put my keyboard on the organ and my rack next to it, and have my drum machine, and was playing it and doing that way back in the days. Even, you know, when I saw Joe Wilson do it years ago, that's where I got it from. So, you know, I saw Joe doing it, and I was like, yo, we were the only ones that really had racks in churches. And so we just decided, this is what this is. And so I took my rack and I brought it to church, and I just, you know, pretty much it really helped me to learn. I learned how to do things because it was just me. So I learned how to MIDI stack my sounds. I spent so much time learning.
Making patches.
Yeah, making patches sitting in church, figuring out, you know, everything, sounds, what I could do, you know, pads, leads, all that stuff like that. So it just developed me. Now, when I got into the bigger situation, was just, it was a lot more work, because it was like, yo, we just had one service. You know, I pretty much was free to do whatever I want. Now I got 2 services, a Wednesday service. I got, you know, you got a prayer, you got rehearsal, and then you got all of these things. So it taught me to have
people.
It taught me to like function at a higher level. Right. And I already had all of the goods because I was doing so much of it. You know, I just took what I knew and I brought it there. And then, you know, what I did was, you know, I really realized that we were operating on a larger spectrum. And so that helped me. And then me doing that on that level, you know, and then, you know, the funny thing was I did big arenas before I did big churches. So before I did the church, I did the arena. So but by the time I came back home, I'm used to paying in front of 20,000 people. So it really wasn't nothing for me. And then we would program the show and we would do all of that. So I wanted to hear that sound. I didn't want to just be thin and light. I wanted to sound full, and I wanted the breaks and you know, all of that. So people could feel it when they come in. I want you to feel it. I don't want you to just be like, oh, that sounds cool. Now I want you to be like, yo, this is cooking. And I mean, that's the musician side of me. You know, I wanted it to be right. So me experiencing that, and then sitting down with my other mentor, Valdez Brantley, who was like, showed me how to work the MP, showed me how to find sounds, showed me how to MIDI my keyboard, showed me how to really become a musician and really learn to play parts. And then we would put whole shows together, and I would just sit there, and we would take all the Mary shows, and I would play all the parts on the record and put it in the sequencer, and then we would play on top of it. and then we would have a big sound, and that's how I learned how to do that. And so even to this day, I do that now. You know, I don't always play stems, but when I do, it's and then we got everything now. Everything that I had on the road, I have at the church.
I was about to ask you what's your setup, because I'm looking at the pictures. I see the MP. I see you playing a motif.
I actually have a montage.
Okay, the new one. Okay.
I have the new montage. I have a Jupiter 80 up top. I have a whole rack on the side. MKS, a motif rack, MK rack, a Mr. rack, Biosonic. I have a whole bunch, 1080, all that in the rack. But then I have Ableton. I use Logic. I use MP. I use the MP for like praise breaks so that I can just hit the button. So I ain't gotta be, you know. And then sometimes I use Logic, or most times I use Ableton to kind of run the session. You know what I'm saying? And then that way, you know, we could play on top of it so it sounds full. But then I have a 4-piece horn section. I have guitar, bass, drum. Like, I have everything at the church. So like, it really is a production. Like, if you come,
yeah, it is. It actually sounds like a touring band.
Yeah, but you know what? In this band, my guys are incredible. Like, I have Richard Tubbs on organ. I don't know if you know about Richard Tubbs.
Yes.
Richard Tubbs plays for Mary.
Dude, that dude is the most quietest.
He's
unassuming.
Yes,
but a beast.
But a real beast.
Wow. Right.
And then you have, I have, my guys, like my drummer is a certified Pro Tools engineer. I have 2 drummers, and one of them is a certified Pro Tools engineer who has his own studio. So I have the best of both worlds. Like, his name is Odell Davis. Then I have my other drummer, Brian Williams. Then I have one of the greatest percussion players from the 60s. Who's still phenomenal to this day. His name is Rodney Plummer. I don't know if you know him.
Wow.
But he played on Benny Cummins records.
Yeah.
On Donnie McClurkin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he's phenomenal, and he still sounds amazing. And he plays with a click track, and he's killing.
Whoa.
Like, it's crazy.
Wow.
Like, he can really do it. At 63. He's 63.
Wow.
Cooking. And then I have all my horn guys. These guys went to school. They're phenomenal readers and players. And, you know, a guy named Eric Hall, who I put in charge of the horn section. He charts out the charts, him and I. And then we have a guy named Stanton Kendricks, who's phenomenal. Tenor sax, alto, oboe, everything. Eric plays keyboards, flute, you know, sax, you know, he plays everything and produces. I told him how to do Logic now. He done did like 3 albums. Like, you know, like all my guys, they're official. Like, everybody I have, like, have toured, have done both worlds, so they get it. You know what I'm saying?
That's the key part.
They get it. They get it. They really get it. Like, LaShawn is my bass player. Walt Wizard is my guitar player. I gotta name them because just in case they see it, I don't want to leave their names out.
And you should.
Yeah, for sure.
And my trumpet, Randall. My trombone player, Mark. And who else? Then my sound guys, of course. I love my sound guys. My main sound guy, his name is Sylvester Lewis. He's another genius, Pro Tools, everything. So I'm blessed, man. God really blessed me with a wealth of great people, man. And I couldn't be more happy, you know, working with these guys. And they make my life easy now. It's like riding cruise at this.
You just got to beat it.
Yeah, they really pull it off. You know, I'll program everything or something like that, but I don't even need to play because Tubbs can do it. Like I can, but it doesn't. I don't have to. And like I got capable guys, and I just think I'm blessed to have all of that. And they're humble, good guys, you know, that really love the Lord, and it really makes a difference.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Hey, bro, man, we appreciate your time.
Sure.
Like, dude, this has been crazy. You know, a lot of information. What advice would you give like a young musician or a young pastor if you had to pick one?
Well, the greatest advice is to always be honest and be true to yourself. Admit your flaws and don't try to be perfect. Just try to serve a perfect God. You know what I'm saying? And try your best to be in who God wants you to be, other than who people want you to be. Because we could fall into the category of having a personality, but I always tell people your favorite personality is not gonna get you into heaven.
Yeah.
So you got to be accountable to who God wants you to be. So for anybody, whether it be pastor, musician, whoever, really think about who you are, really find out who you are, and be true to yourself and be honest with yourself.
Yeah. Because
the honesty is what makes you you. Don't try to be somebody else, and don't try to fit in the way you don't belong.
Exactly.
Don't all of those things I'm learning, through experience. I've learned through experience. I could say this now because through all that I've been through, I've learned to just realize that it's okay to be you.
Yeah.
That would be the one thing, because once you find out who you are, you can become anything.
Right.
Because you know who you are, and you know who you are.
Right. Amazing.
Yeah, man.
Amazing.
So dope.
Hey, so before you get out of here, we can do this thing called going in 30 seconds. So I'm gonna shoot a question, quick answer. You ready?
Yep.
You sure?
I'm sure.
You sure? Okay, all right. Here we go. Number 1. Knicks or the Brooklyn Nets?
Brooklyn Nets.
Woo! Okay. Korg, Roland, or Yamaha, favorite keyboards?
Korg.
Rhodes or piano?
Piano.
What sound do you pick when you first start to create a track?
Rhodes.
Favorite book in the Bible?
Psalms.
Amazing,
bro. Yep.
Amazing. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, I just want to thank my brother, Loren Dawson, for being part of the Church Sound Podcast. Listen, we enjoyed this. I know the audience is going to enjoy this, man. And like we say every time, keep God first in everything you do. And we see you next time on the Church Sound Podcast.
Now, compression is good for any source, and I use it just about on everything. So what I'm going to show you is an example. I'm going to pull up a session I'll share my screen, and I can show you a little bit of what we do in mixing. Now, I'm a studio engineer and a front of house engineer as well. Okay. So here's a compressor that you see. And I'm gonna play something. It's my voice. Now you'll see the threshold. I know. It's attack, slow release. Now watch this.
Just realizing through this pandemic how much we have missed God. And I don't mean we miss him, we miss him like we miss him, not that, but we have missed him. Yeah. We have made so many things a priority that are not a priority to him. Right. We are more in love with our facilities than we are with the mandate of the work that we're called to do.